Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve quadratic equations to solve for x. So we have a quadratic equation like this one here. One thing to note is sometimes it does not come in this form. They may try to trick you right out the door by putting an equation you have to solve that looks, for example, like this. X squared minus 4x is equal to 21. Therefore, if you get something like this, it's up to you to realize that these two are the same things, because we can simply move this 21 over to this side by subtracting it from both sides, and then this side becomes equals 0. So that's the first step in solving quadratic equations for x. You want to move everything to one side so that it is equal to 0. Once you do that, your quadratic should be in the form x squared plus bx plus c. So in this case, we have x squared starting off. Sometimes you get a number in front of that x squared. That will change how we solve these equations a little bit. So for now, we're gonna only focus on if there was nothing before x. So if it's just x squared plus bx, well in our case, b is negative 4, plus c, where in our case c is negative 21. So this is the form of our quadratic, x squared plus bx plus c, and we want to get that in that form like we have done here, equals to 0. Once you have it in that form, you are ready to solve it. Now when we're looking to solve this equation, there's two numbers we have to find. The first one is b. b is a very important number. So b is the one right before the x. So in our case, b is equal to negative 4. And the second number will be c. And in our case, c is negative 21. These two numbers are essential to solving your equation. So once you figure out what b and c is, you can write them down so it makes it easier. We can then work on solving. And the simple step you need to do to solve is you need to find two numbers. Those two numbers have to add together to equal b, which in our case is negative 4, but those same two numbers have to multiply together to equal c, which in our case is 21. If we can find these two numbers, we have solved it. So you can stop and think of those two numbers. Well, what are two numbers that multiply to negative 21? Well, we have 7 and 3. That multiplies to negative 21. But one of them has to be negative because it's negative 21. So let's try negative 7 times 3. Now we try it in the above one and see if those two also add to give us b. So does negative 7 plus positive 3 give us negative 4? It does, so those are our two numbers. But if we had instead, down here, tried negative 3 times 7, that does equal negative 21. However, negative 3 plus 7 would give us 4, not negative 4. So you have to make sure you get the correct two numbers. And in this case, we've got negative 7 and 3, and those will make up our answer. Because to write this answer and finish off the problem, we're going to put two brackets. So we're going to factor this real quick in order to solve it. And we factor it with these two numbers we got. So our factor becomes x minus 7, because that's our first number that we got. And we have x plus 3, because that's our second number, and that's still equal to 0. So by finding these two numbers, we can take this equation here, factor it, and put it into this equation. Now, factoring it into here is important because now we can solve it in one step based on this simple rule. Say this first bracket is a, and this second bracket is b. So we have a times b equals 0. If either a or b is 0, our whole equation is 0, and this equation holds true. Therefore, we have to solve these individually like they're equal to 0. So we have x minus 7 equals 0, as well as x plus 3 equals 0. I'll put the answer here. You can probably see, I'll move this up a little bit. You can probably see that quite simply, once we add 7 to both sides, we get x equals 7, as well as x equals negative 3. And you can see that holds these equations true, because if we put 7 into here, 7 minus 7 is 0. So our answer is x equals 7 or x equals negative 3. So that's what you will submit. Now, if you want to quickly check it in another way, we can plug these back into our original equation. So, for example, 7. 7 squared is 49 minus 4 times 7, which is 28. 49 minus 28 is 21. So, just to recap, you have your equation. Make sure you put it into this form. You recognize your b and your c so that you can find your two numbers that both add to your b and multiply to your c. Once you have those two numbers, simply go x and then plug in your number right next to it. So in my case, those numbers were x minus 7 and x plus 3, because it's positive 3. That is still equal to 0, and simply solve for x. So we have x minus 7 is 0, or x plus 3 is 0, so x is 7 or x is negative 3. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.